This happened in 2009. I was 15 at the time. I was living with my sisters. My older one was 24 and my little one was 4. For security's sake, we will call my older sister Chloe and my little sister Joy and my friend Ivan. So it was Christmas break and I was hanging out in the apartment and I asked Chloe if I could have a friend stay the night. She eventually agreed but said we had to watch Joy while she worked. So I agreed, called Ivan, and he said he would be over soon. So around 5 he got to my place and my sister already left for work. We then take Joy to my sister's room and put Mickey Mouse on for her. She is hypnotized when that's on, so we didn't have to watch her too much. Then we just played some video games and ate junk food. So about an hour later, Ivan said he brought cigarettes and we decided we would go smoke them. I know it was totally irresponsible, but we left my little sister alone. But my sister's room is baby-proof and we shut and locked the door. So we went downstairs and smoked for 10 minutes and headed back up. We got upstairs. I used the key, but the door was already open. I start to freak. Ivan then yells, "Dude, your sister." We run to Chloe's room, unlock the door. There she is watching Mickey. Then we just figured I forgot to lock the door. So we go back to our hangout night and just chill out. Around 11 we just finished Reservoir Dogs and Chloe would be home soon, so we put Joy to bed and we did the same. So I wake up at 4 and I get up to get some water. As I exit my room, I see a man staring into Chloe's room. I then run back into my room and I wake Ivan up and I tell him that a man is in the apartment. He looks at me thinking I'm just trying to fuck with him. But he then looks at me and sees how serious I am. I tell him, "Ivan, just go with what I'm going to do." Then I pull out my phone and call Ivan. His phone rings and I tell him, "Pretend your mom called and your dad got mugged and he's in the hospital." Luckily the man hid when the phone rang. We then go into my sister's room and wake her up to tell her Ivan's dad is in the hospital and we need to go. She was pissed at first but gave in and we grabbed Joy and we went downstairs. We then get to the lobby and tell Chloe what was really going on. She then gets pissed and yells at us for pranking her. She then says, "I'm taking Ivan home now. Let's go." Then Joy points to the stairs and says, "Scary." We turn around. A 6-foot dude is standing there staring at us. Chloe ignores it and we walk to the car. And Joy again points and says, "Scary." At that time it got Chloe's attention. She then realizes this guy is following us and she whispers to me and Ivan, "Take Joy, run as fast as you can." We did and ran down the street screaming for help. Then a cop pulls over to us and she gets out of her car and asks what the hell are we doing. We then explain what happened and she immediately radios for backup and we run back to the complex where I see Chloe running towards us. She looks relieved to see us and then we see the man running to us and I see something shiny in his hand. The lady cop pulls out her gun and points it at him and tells him to freeze. He drops it and the cop cuffs him. It was a large hunting knife. Then more cops show up and they start to question us, but what they found in my hall closet still haunts us to this day. They found rope, pictures of my sisters, me and Ivan sleeping, and tape and chloroform. The lesson I learned: when you leave your house, make sure the door is locked. This story actually happened to my dad, well, back in the 70s in his home country of Fiji. So there is no way I can get any type of newspaper article or anything like that, but I assure you this is real. I have verified this story with my mom and my uncles, and it is all legit. So here we go. My dad lived in a farming area and each house/farm was a few miles apart from each other. When my dad was about 14 years old, he was invited to a sleepover at his uncle's house. My dad liked his uncle, so he went over for the night. His uncle had a wife and 3 kids. Ages were 3 and 4 and a baby that was like 6 months old. They had a great time eating, chatting, and playing with the kids. And then it was bedtime. My dad goes to sleep and wakes up to this huge noise. Then he hears screaming and something that sounded like gunshot. He runs to his uncle's room and sees his uncle shooting the wife and kids. My dad freaks out and runs away. He runs across the house and tries to go through one door, but he can't open it because it was jammed for some reason. It was an old farmhouse that needed lots of work. So his only option was to run back to the other side and use the other door, which would mean he would need to cross his uncle's room again. He had no choice and slowly walks back and couldn't help but peek in the room. He sees his uncle standing there with a gun, and as my dad is staring at him, his uncle turns around and looks at him and says, "You're lucky I let you live," and puts the gun to his head. As my dad freaks out and starts running, he hears one more gunshot. My dad runs out of the house and keeps running down the dirt road, all the way back to his own house. Lucky his dad was still up with some friends, drinking and playing cards. My dad basically collapses as he makes it to his front porch and tells everyone what happened. They call the police, and the police go to investigate and find everyone dead. A little while later, my dad finds out that his uncle had quite a few mental issues, and was supposed to be taking medication for it, which he wasn't. That is the reason he went crazy that night. As you can imagine, my dad was traumatized for a long time after, and had nightmares of his uncle for a long time. So it really is a let's not meet, as his uncle is no longer alive. Once again, I assure you, this story is true, as I can see it in my dad's eyes whenever he tells me the story, and I wish I could have some sort of news article, but this was in the 70s and it was in Fiji, so there's no way I can find anything.